Hey guys, it's Kip here from KDC Marketing, and in today's video, I want to talk about Content Marketing 101, which is the key to getting more customers, at least the key that I see to getting more customers. So I just want to go over this. Is going to be a quick and fast mini training for business owners and people who want to grow their business through content marketing. But this is the best way that I've found to grow a business is through consistent content marketing. So let's start at the very beginning. What is content marketing? Content marketing is sharing what you know. So that could be through videos, articles, etc. But it's sharing what you know to build trust, provide value, and ultimately attract more customers. So if you were to look at the flip side of this, what are other marketing channels that people could use? They might use advertising, they might use SEO, they might use email marketing, they might use a handful of other marketing channels. But content marketing is sharing what you know. And in my case, I love doing YouTube videos because there's such a good channel and platform in YouTube to help you find your audience and grow your business and find more customers. So this is how it works. So you create free content that's valuable for your target customer. And then that content builds trust and generates leads, and those leads become your customers. So I made this little chart over here on the right-hand side. You start with free content, then they become leads, then you nurture those leads and they become your customers, and then the cycle repeats itself. But it's all centered and based in trust. And when you give away free content, that is the whole beginning of the whole process, and it's what allows people to start trusting you, to test drive your content, to experience what it's like working with you, and then they kind of follow this cycle. Sometimes they might jump from free content straight to customer. Sometimes it might take some time for them to become a customer after they become a lead. But at every point, you're trying to give them value at all of these points so that they eventually become your customer here, and then for, however long they are your customer. So that's a little bit how it works. And just building on this trust idea, I found this quote. I love this quote because it just says it perfectly. It says, content builds relationships. Relationships are built on trust, and trust drives revenue. So that's the whole point, is you're building relationships through your content. You're putting yourself out there with this free content. And in my case, doing it through YouTube so that you can find the right people. And as you do that, you're building relationships with people. And then those relationships are built on trust, and that trust drives revenue. And just to kind of share a quick story, I have had several people who have contacted me through YouTube, have gone to my website and filled out a form and booked a discovery call with KDC Marketing, who have said that they've watched several of my videos. They feel like they already know me when they start talking to me, and they, for whatever reason, felt like they wanted to reach out because they trusted me. They've said things like, I felt like you could help me with my problem, or I felt like I could trust you, or you're so calm in your videos, and that's what really was drawing me to you, and that's why I wanted to reach out. So this is exactly what's happening as people hear and see you on YouTube through your video content. That content builds relationships, and then those relationships turn into revenue, turn into customers. So, and this is a key point that I feel is so important right now for business owners. You don't want to outsource your voice. So I've worked at marketing agencies in the past where we've done content for different companies and different brands, and that might be something like blog articles. We're going to write 2 blog articles for you per month, and we're going to try to do it to our best ability in your brand voice, etc. That might be okay for certain blog articles that aren't as critical to the business. But when it comes to your voice, the voice of your company, I don't think that's something you can outsource. I don't think you can hire someone to replace you as the business owner, and your voice, your unique story and your tone and your insights are exactly what people want to hear from your content. And I work with companies that have multiple employees, and I work with single member business owners who are running their own business, and that they're the only team member, if you will, on their business, this is something I don't believe you can outsource, because it just doesn't serve your audience as well as if it's coming from you. And they want to hear your expertise. They want to hear your insights. They want to hear your take on the industry. They want to hear how you feel about certain things, how you think, all those kind of things. So if you outsource that, I think you're really doing yourself a disservice. And a lot of people feel the need, because as business owners, they're wearing lots of hats. So they feel the need to outsource lots of different things. And sometimes the content is what gets outsourced. But the content doesn't need to be perfect. So if that's what you're worried about, like, oh, it has to be perfect, it has to be really professional, it just needs to be real and helpful, and it just needs to create value. And like I said before, people will be drawn to you for your unique qualities, and we'll kind of talk about that a bit more. But this is something I just don't think any business owner should outsource if they have the time to create content. So going along with that, the hardest part about this whole process is getting started. And starting is hard, but then it snowballs. And I love this quote that I heard once, that it's the start that stops most people. They get stopped by never ever starting. They don't ever take that first step into creating content. And really, it's not as scary and as intimidating and hard as it sounds if you have the right information. Because you don't have to be, like I said before, super professional. You don't have to go out and buy all this equipment, nicest cameras and nicest microphones and expensive software. You just have to show up and share your insights and ideas and answer your customers' questions. And you have to get through that initial barrier, because the results are going to be worth it. And I have worked with several clients doing content marketing consulting. And the hardest part for them is doing those first few videos. They feel self-conscious. They don't think they look good on camera or sound good. They hate their voice and all these other things. But as soon as they break through and do that first video or those first couple of videos, everything changes. And almost all of the business owners that I've worked with have said that the first thing that comes after they create those first couple of videos is confidence. They feel more confident in themselves, in their business, as they talk about their business and show their expertise and show how they can help their customers. And that's been really consistent across the board with all the people that I've worked with. And the snowballing effect is that once you post to a channel like YouTube, it does take some time for it to get some traction, but you have to post consistently and then it snowballs. So I want to show what this will look like. I'll go back to the other slide in a second, but this is my YouTube channel. And I started posting content back in October of 2023. You can kind of see here, there's no views, nothing happening. And then over time, I start to get some views, and then it really starts to pick up here. And it's dipped a little bit here, but it's been pretty consistent. This lower line here has stayed pretty consistent with some higher lines. So it starts to snowball over time. And now my channel has over 175,000 views, over 176,000 views. And I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers, and people have watched my content for 6,000 hours. All of that's really great, but it wouldn't have happened if I never started. I had to start publishing videos here, and then I had to keep publishing. And so you're seeing 2 years worth of effort to get to these numbers, but it's been a really fun journey. And so I want to share more about those results for just me and my personal business. You kind of already saw the views there and subscribers, but I've generated 100 plus leads. I have active paying customers who have found me through YouTube. I also have an online course, and people have enrolled through my online course, and the main marketing channel is the YouTube channel. And I'm growing my email list at 250 email subscribers. So this whole process is finding me customers. It's bringing me more business. And these are customers that would never have found me without YouTube. A lot of my business up until a certain point was referral-based business, just clients referring me to other clients. And I love referrals, and it's still a big part of KDC Marketing, but I also love when someone finds me through YouTube. And the cool thing about the YouTube videos is that when someone does find me, that they feel like they know me. They feel familiar, and I feel like in a way they are somebody who has a bit more experience with me than someone who just randomly finds me online. If they've watched several of my videos, they know my voice, they know what I sound like, they know what I look like, and all of that has already kind of happened through that process. So this is a good segue into how do I get started. If you're thinking about doing content marketing, and you totally should, because it's awesome, and there are some really good ways to get started. So I would recommend you make a list of the top questions your customers ask, and this comes from this book, They Ask You Answer. This is a book by Marcus Sheridan. It's about content marketing, and the basic premise of the book is that customers have questions, and whoever answers those questions in the best and most honest way online is going to win those customers. And this is a really good place to start, is just make a list of the top questions your customers ask, start answering those questions on YouTube. And then as you start that process, you can keep finding ways to add value to your customers. So don't overthink it. That's where I would start, and that's where I recommend people always start. And if you don't know the top questions that your customers are asking, or their main pain points and problems, then I would say just work with more customers. Try to find more customers. Try to better understand the industry, and start delivering value. And that's the great thing about YouTube too, is as you publish YouTube videos, you get feedback, you get questions, you get comments. There's lots of ways you can get feedback, but you have to start publishing in order for that to happen. So the other way to get started is content marketing consulting through KDC Marketing. And these are some of the exact things that I help clients do in order to grow their business and find more customers. So I help them with things like content strategy and what equipment they need and how do they distribute that content, like does it live on their website, on YouTube, and all their other social platforms, and then how do they respond to feedback. And that's feedback from analytics, that's feedback from comments, that's feedback from website analytics. There's a lot of feedback we look at. And then we develop some lead magnets, which is kind of integral to that process of going from free content to leads to customers. You need different stepping stones for them to be able to take those little steps to become your customers. And then just understanding best practices that will save time and make your overall content marketing better. So I hope you found this mini training helpful. This is really the crux of it back here, is this slide. This is the way that you can grow your business right here, is delivering free content and then having them step through these different processes, becoming a lead. You nurture those leads and becoming a customer, and it's all built on trust. And the main takeaway I hope that you get from this is that it's not overwhelming, or it probably feels overwhelming, but once you get started, it's really not that complex. It's not rocket science. It's just adding value to your customers. And if you do that with the right intent, then they will trust you and they will become your customers over time. If you look at this chart, right, this is all I've done is just, it's not been anything crazy. I just publish consistently. I publish videos that I think people will find valuable. And a lot of the times I am just answering a question that I once had as a person. So a lot of my videos are web design tutorials, and they are things that I didn't used to know that I now know. Or a lot of videos are like this video, things that I'm passionate about, like content marketing. Because I've seen what happens when people go the other routes in marketing, when they do advertising or when they do SEO and when they do these other channels. Those things do work, but they cost a lot of money and they take a lot of time. And content marketing essentially costs you nothing. You create the videos, you record them, and you upload them, and you benefit from them for years on end if you do it the right way. And YouTube is the channel that you need to use to do that, because it's set up as a search engine and it's set up to reward you for the long term. And the long form content that you create is better because people can trust you more. They can trust you with the video here that's 20 minutes long more than a 30-second video on Instagram. So so that's really the crux of the whole thing. It really is not that complicated. It really isn't rocket science. It's really just answering your customers' questions, showing up each week and creating value. And there's lots of different approaches to content marketing, but if you overthink it and if you never start and if you never do anything about it, that would be worse than taking action and getting as far as you can go, no matter what you do. The worst thing you could possibly do is just do nothing. And a lot of businesses are wanting to get more customers. A lot of businesses, that's their number one complaint, is they're not getting enough customers, they're not getting enough leads, they don't have enough business, they don't have enough supply or demand to keep their business afloat, to keep their business growing and thriving. So that's what content marketing is designed to do. It's designed to get you more customers, to help you grow your business, to help you get more qualified leads so that you can be successful as a business owner. So again, hope this training was valuable. I love doing this kind of stuff. It's fun for me. I love putting together the slides and thinking about these things, but I also love being practical, and I love seeing other business owners succeed by doing content marketing. They're taking the choice to not outsource their voice to someone else, but to get out there and share what they know and connect with their customers online so that they can grow their business. So that's what I'm also all about, is just helping people succeed online. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this big, grandiose thing that costs tons of money. It just needs to be simple and effective, something you can execute week in and week out so that you can win and succeed. Because the people who are thinking too much and worrying too much about production and publishing one video here and then waiting 5 months and publishing another, it's just not as consistent as the small and simple gains you will get from doing content marketing when you do it the right way. When you do it the right way, you get this. You build relationships, you build trust, and you drive revenue. All right, that's what I have for today's video, and I will see you in the next video.